Look like you're from
Hello, my
Native
friends, and
American.
welcome back to the show that never ends. I'm Rod, your happy hippie, and I am broadcasting from Cadence and Amelia's Cadence Antique Shop at Amelia's Cafe. My boy Craig is kind enough to let me film in his cafe today. You can see the menu behind me. Great sandwiches, and I'm drinking my favorite hot beverage, a chai latte, and they're so good. I'm doing a contest for Eric Weinbender. My boy Eric Weinbender has a great channel, lots of variety. And this contest he's having is about soundtracks. He said you could show 8 tracks, VHS tapes, albums, cassettes, all about soundtracks, all about the movies and the music, which is goes hand in hand. They're great movies with great soundtracks out there. Some very iconic movies.
And I spent a lot of time in Texas and San Antonio.
So I want to participate in this. And I'm going to start it off with showing some 8mm movies. These are very old.
Yeah, we lived in San Antonio.
They're 8mm. You would have a screen in your house or maybe on a white wall, lit a projector.
My wife's from San Antonio.
Mickey Mouse films. The Chimps Jamboree, very iconic, just part of Americana.
But actually, his freshman year,
And
he played
8-track, go 8-track, Forrest Gump.
So we
Great movie with a fantastic soundtrack. Unfortunately, I don't have the soundtrack, but it's a wonderful, wonderful movie and soundtrack.
But yeah, you're right.
Pulp Fiction, VHS tape. Quentin Tarantino, one of my favorite directors. Pulp Fiction is in my top 10 movies. And this is another movie with a great soundtrack. Pulp Fiction, John Travolta's comeback role, my man Samuel L. Jackson. Wonderful movie. Say what one more time? Anyway, that's my bad impression.
I appreciate your help.
Another iconic movie. This is my 8-track copy of the soundtrack,
Have a good come back and
Rocky,
visit us when you're in town.
from the movie Rocky. Everybody knows that song. Anyway, I'm going to ask my friend Craig here to step in. Tell us when these movies were out. How old are these? The 50s?
These movies were out
30s?
In the 30s. Some of them may be even a little bit earlier than that. This is Mickey Mouse. They were produced as 16mm through the 40s and 50s, but these are earlier films. Really cool.
Very, very cool. Part of American history almost. Great stuff. Thank you, Craig. And thanks for letting us film in your shop. And our address is 307 North Main Street, Clinton, Tennessee. 3 floors of antiques this guy has. And a cafe, coffee shop. And he's kind enough to let me hang out here and have a booth in the basement. But anyway, back to the soundtracks. Popeye. This was Robin Williams' first movie he ever did. The movie itself did not do real well. But it's a great funny movie. If you ever get a chance to check it out, if it ever comes on TV, Robin Williams. Put these two aside for a minute. Going back to our iconic movies, Easy Rider. I think everybody has seen this movie. And I know this was shown in another video, and I don't mean to copy that gentleman, but I had to show it too. Easy Rider. Peter Fonda was in it. Jack Nicklaus, Dennis Hopper. Great movie. Really cool soundtrack. It's got The Pusher by Steppenwolf. Born to be Wild by Steppenwolf. Wasn't Born to Follow by the Byrds. Some Roger McGuinn's on here. I'm trying to do these in a certain order, but they may not come out that way. Anyway, American Graffiti. It's not an iconic movie, but it is a pretty well-known movie. Blondie was on the soundtrack with Call Me. Teachers, I'm not familiar with this, but the soundtrack looks pretty good. It's got ZZ Top on it, Joe Cocker, Night Ranger, Bob Seger. Probably one of the bad 80 movies. Annie. Everyone's heard of Annie. Empire of the Sun. Some classical music. Every Which Way But Loose. Clint Eastwood. I remember my dad taking me to see this movie. It's a gatefold. When I was just a kid, like in sixth grade, I believe I was. Clint Eastwood. Beverly Hills Cop. And this was a funny Eddie Murphy movie. One of the first couple he did. Just Glenn Fry's on here. I believe Bob Seger, that's what I'm looking to see, was on here. Maybe not. I would have been willing to bet you a donut that Seger was on that album. Maybe I'm thinking of another one. The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. Another gatefold out. Nope, it's not a gatefold. About Last Night. Not familiar with this movie. Another copy of American Gigolo. Almost Summer. I had forgotten about this movie, but it was a bad 80s movie for teenagers. Stevie Wonder does the soundtrack for The Woman in Red. There's Stevie right there. The man, Stevie Wonder. This is actually a really nice album. American Graffiti. And this is a gatefold album. American Graffiti. Features all the music from the 50s. See if I can hold that up. That was a nice movie, American Graffiti. Xanadu. The soundtrack featured ELO and Olivia Newton-John. And there is Olivia holding up an ELO emblem. Isn't that neat? She was such a pretty lady. She still is. Just a beautiful lady. Xanadu. I don't think I've ever actually seen the movie, but I've heard of it, and I remember the music on the radio from the soundtrack. Miami Vice from the TV show. On Any Given Sunday, soundtrack to that, and this is a promotional copy. I'm opening up the gatefold like there's something to show you, but there's not. It's a promotional copy of On Any Given Sunday. Great movie with my boy Al Pacino. West Side Story. And here's one I've never listened to, but it's got a cool album cover and I don't even know the movie. The Blue Max. Space Odyssey, 2001. And for the kids, the movie Benji and Alvin and the Chipmunks from the TV show. Anyway, that's my soundtrack collection. Actually, those are the ones I have in my booth. Those aren't actually my personal albums. And I'm looking over here because I had a soundtrack to Saturday Night Fever. Hey Goose, did you sell the Saturday Night Fever?
I sold at least one of them.
The one that was here?
Oh yeah, that one.
Thank you, sold my video prop. Anyway, Craig said he sold my, thanks for selling it though, I appreciate it. He sold my Saturday Night Fever album, which is cool, that's why it was there. But I had it propped up on the counter. I always leave at least one album on the counter by the checkout for impulse buying. But thank you, Eric Weinbender, for having this contest. If you haven't checked out his channel, please do. Dude's got a lot of variety in his music, man. Just tons and tons of good stuff he features. There's so many good people out in the VC. There's so many people to name, and just, gosh, man, it's just the vinyl community is growing and growing. But definitely check out Eric Weinbender. And if you're going to be around in May, or if you got nothing to do, May 4th weekend, come to Clinton, Tennessee. We're having our annual Spring Antique Festival. Starts Friday night, then goes into Saturday. They're shutting down one of the streets. There are going to be vendors out there, food trucks. Of course, you could eat here with us. There'll be a lot of antiques. A lot of guys bring in vinyl. And I always have to work that day, but I sneak out without the boss knowing it, or sometimes he'll let me sneak out and run down there and check out all the albums that the guys have. Hold on one second, let me find. Okay, I'm back. I had forgotten this in my backpack. This is one I actually brought from my house. This is my personal album, Urban Cowboy, another iconic movie. This is a cool soundtrack. It features Bonnie Raitt on here, Jimmy Buffett, Joe Walsh, Bob Seger. Some really, really cool stuff on here. And I don't play it a whole lot, but every once in a while I break this out and play it. Urban Cowboy, John Travolta. That dude's been in what? Pulp Fiction, great soundtrack. Saturday Night Fever, you may not like disco, but that was one of the biggest selling, if not the biggest selling soundtrack of all time. And I could have sworn it was here yesterday, so he must have sold it, which is cool, Thank you, Eric Weinbender, for letting me participate in this contest. Best of luck with your channel. Peace, guys. God bless everyone. Hey, here's to you.